So Carrie and I are making our way around the apiary, just doing what we can. So we're putting some feed on these colonies, we're adding space to the big ones, and just kind of preparing the yards so we can, once it gets warm, we can actually work with these damn bees. That area cess is a little bit smaller. Actually, I'm gonna drop them here. So this one's counting 9 frames of bees underneath. So we'll have to come through and quickly pull 2 brood frames. I'm anticipating from a colony like this, and boost up a small one or whatever. So we got to pay attention to these ones right away, as soon as it warms up. And these ones we are going to wait until, and we've got some time on these. But I want to show you a hive that I've come across. We come through and we call out all the weak ones. So a small little dwindled colony. You know, small coming out of the shed. There's no real sign of, poop or anything on it. They're not messy inside, they're just small. And I just want to show you what I'm seeing here. So these guys are low in bee numbers, of course. And they are actively rearing a brood nest. Nice, neat little brood nest. Hardly any bee numbers. We've got ourselves a little queenie here. She looks, she doesn't look bad, so she could be a fresh queen even. On the tag we have 2018, so this queen is a newish queen. So we're sporting a little wee nest. So that's all the bees she has to work with. So my question is, why has this nest dwindled, whereas the rest of my apiary has thrived? Like even my small little nest, my little nukes coming out of the shed, they have taken a small cluster of bees and, turned 2-3 frames of brood already. These guys are just struggling to keep a patch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this colony back to the home yard. I'll likely kill her off because, I need the equipment, and poor performance for whatever reason. I don't want this in my stock, so she's likely going to be killed off. I'm going to take a sample of these bees and I'm going to analyze them underneath my microscope, and what I'm going to be looking for is primarily nosema. I'm thinking that this nest probably fell to the circumstances of nosema. We can't see anything, and we know nosema is kind of like that silent killer now. It leads to that whole disorganization of the nest. Kills off those workers a lot sooner than they should be. Those young bees, the whole dynamics, the worker dynamics within that nest completely changes with nosema. And it just throws the whole nest on its head, and they can't physically rear enough brood to be able to keep up with their attrition. And you can't see it. There's no physical signs of it whatsoever. There's the impression out there amongst beekeepers that nosema. This cold, windy weather is extremely frustrating. We have so much brood work we got to do, and we just can't. It's 8 degrees right now and windy, and we just can't get into these hives to be able to effectively get a lot of work done. Like, I am pushing a lot of my workload ahead by doubling up the strong ones, which is good. But I'm going through the apiary now. We can't do any brood work because of the wind and because of the coolness. And running out of time. I'm looking at the forecast. We're looking at possible rain coming at us for a few days. And to be able to get through the entire apiary as I need to be able to thin down these strong ones that'll swarm on me if we don't get through them, and boost up these weak ones, the math isn't adding up. And we're just not going to get the work done. I'm going to lose some bees to the trees here. So today, using this cool, windy day, any way I can, Carrie and I are going through the last half of the apiary, and we're just identifying the strong ones that are too strong. They're going to be swarming on us right shortly here, and we're adding boxes on top of them. So that kind of pushes that workload out a little bit, buys us a little bit of time. And then for in the few days that we are going to be able to get out and do some actual beekeeping here, we'll be able to go through the apiary a lot quicker and thin down stronger ones that aren't in the verge of swarming, and boost up the weaker ones within the apiary here. So it's I might sound like I'm complaining here a little bit, and I guess I am, but the fact of the matter is the apiary is in really good shape. We've experienced a really cool spring. Dandelions haven't started flowing yet. The trees are hardly leafing out. It's middle of May already. What is it, May 19th? Grass is hardly even growing yet. Very slow spring, but they've had access of pollen. They've packed these nests full of pollen. We've been on top of them with syrup. We've fed them supplement. We've managed these nests to a cool spring. We've kept them tight, and maybe a little bit too tight, but we're just, we're walking that line, walking that edge. We might lose a few to swarms here. So yeah, we're just going through and we're just identifying these monsters that we thought maybe weren't as big as they are right now, and we're just adding seconds, just pushing that workload out. We're going to have queens ready in about 7 days, so hopefully the weather turns here and starts, warming, allows, for the bees to get out and fly sooner than 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Allow those queens to get out. Perfect opportunity to mate. We got to kick this wind. We got to kick the coolness. So lots is progressing within the apiary right now, but you have to understand the way I manage my bees. By not importing queens like I do, I put a lot of risk on, on the weather that we need to be able to mate the queens that we rear here. So we're pushing the workload back. We're pushing it back as far as we can. We're hoping for nicer weather. We're laying our bets that further we go through spring here, eventually things are going to turn and eventually start warming. So that's one thing to be said about the way I'm running my operation here, is I'm eliminating the one costly risk of importing queens. The costly part of the queens being $40-45. I'm risking that I'm bringing in duds. I'm bringing in queens that just won't perform for me. Got tired of all that stuff. But the same hand, by managing my own queen rearing operation, being in Manitoba, we are influenced with weather conditions. And if the weather doesn't improve, if things don't smarten up and turn around here, we may be stripping off all the surplus strength, drop cells in, to fall absolutely flat. These queens don't mate. Simply put, we might as well just shake those bees out in the grass. So there's a lot riding on the weather right now. There's a lot riding on my management right now. But I just gotta maintain my persistence here. Let things happen, let things roll out as they do. Just roll with the punches. Be as patient as I can. Let's tip back a couple hives here. So a hive like this, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. These guys are okay. Don't have to worry about these guys. We'll come through, and I bet you they count just perfect. We'll take or we'll skim from them, one or the other. Okay, tipping back colonies like this, on the other hand, just get him off the bottom boards. You can see all the cups there. Just checking them. There's no eggs in them yet, but they are definitely preparing to swarm if I don't get space onto these guys. So this is a hive that I've identified needing a second. So I've just reassessed them as being, too big. We're putting a second on them. We're not going to get to these guys in time. So they get a second. We push back the work, a week and a half. We'll deal with them later. And by the looks of it, when I'm counting 10 frames just bulging like this, building cells at the bottom, these guys are probably sporting 6 frames of brood inside. So by putting a box on top, they'll move up there, they'll lay out a nice little nest up top, and they'll make the split for me to take. So I'm going to put a second on them. I'm going to let them make up the split themselves instead of us having to go through and sort everything out, just to help manage my workload and just to, push some of this work ahead so we can kind of keep on top of things. Boy, is this ever nice. Gimme, gimme, gimme. 10 bees in there. Yeah, that should be good enough. Holy crap, that is just packed full of nosema. So packed full of nosema, I can hardly tell. Wow. It's like grains of rice in a cup. Ooh, boy. So that's one. I'm doing sequential sampling. So I'm taking 10 bees and I'm taking a look at each individual bee just to see if there's nosema in their guts, and I'm determining the severity of the infection within the colony by the amount of infected bees within that colony. It's just a field test. It's not it's nothing extremely scientific here. It's just a way I'm, just trying to diagnose this colony of infection. Just a field test, like they say. This bee is clean. So that is interesting. I have 6 out of 10 that show severe nosema infestation within their gut. So it's probably a situation of a very terrible gut infection within this colony.